Alright man, 4 rules for what artifacts to keep and upgrade and abuse on your account for just way better gear over time, as well as then 4 very important exceptions to these rules that might not be so obvious. So step number 1 for improving your artifact collection is going to be selling the junk. What does the junk look like? Well, for a lot of the time that means you can just go into your gear filters and just sell everything that's basically of common and green quality. And another thing you can do is filter by gloves, chest and boots, and basically get rid of any piece of gear that are gloves, chest or boots that have rolled into flat stats, right? Flat defense, flat attack, flat HP, all of these gear pieces are basically absolute trash. Now, there's a micro exception to this rule that I mentioned right now. If it's a really good gear set, like a feral piece, and you're in the super early game of your account, and maybe it's like a flat HP chest piece right here, but it could roll into speed, I'd recommend just go ahead and throw some upgrades into it. Take it to maybe rank 12 or something like that. If you can get like a double roll in speed, it can be worth holding on to these. Again, if you're in the super early game, substats like just a lot of speed or a lot of crit rate can be very important for building out your champions, but generally speaking, beyond like the first 4 or 5 months of your account or something like that, you're just going to auto sell all of these pieces without really ever having to think about it. This is because generally percentage based stats, things like crit damage and attack percent and defense percent are going to be better on gloves and chest and stuff like that. And for boots, it's 99% of the time going to be speed as the primary stat that you're looking for, and anything else is kind of crappy. In the later game in your account, you can get away with things like attack percentage on boots and stuff like that, and you can find the speed that you need on your champions and your nukers, for example, from other sources, potentially, but again, most of the time, speed is main stat on boots. It makes it very easy to just gear cleanse gloves, chest, and boots this way. And so that's quick rule number 1. Before we get on to rule number 2, if you're looking to start off a new Raid Shadow Legends account, make sure to get that done right now by clicking on the best beginner promo link in the world, which, as luck would have it, is down below this video at the top of the description box, man. Use that link to create your new Raid account to grab yourself Basilius Roanus as your day 1 starter legendary champion. Yes, I just paused recording to belch there real quick. Oh god, how unprofessional it would be. Start if your new Raid account right on laptop or PC using that link down below, man, for Basilius Roanus as your starter legendary, and a few free epic champions as you level up your account. Make sure to get that done and create that new account using that link before October 30th, while Michelangelo is the free login reward legendary champion. Man, best possible way to start off a new Raid account in 2025. Now, rule number 2, right, when it comes to cleansing your gear, a very important step that you want to take. So you've sold off all of the crap on your account, all of the very obvious stuff. Next thing you want to do is take newer champions on your account that are either only just hitting level 60 on your account, or maybe even champions that are actually sitting at level 50, or even not level 50, but at least 5 stars, and you plan on ranking them up very soon. Maybe you got like a good awakening soul for that champion, or whatever. Maybe you plan on building that champion for a very specific area of the game very soon, right? Champions that you plan on building imminently. Get gear slammed on these champions, right? I recently did this with my Whisper, throwing in my damage dealer Relentless gear, crit rate, crit damage, all that kind of stuff, and I just built her out in it. It might not be a permanent build, but it's an approximation of what I want her build to look like by the time she reaches max level, and so I recently took her up to 6 stars. I got her in gear immediately. Another champion I did this with was Leonardo on my main account, right? Again, it's not potentially the build he's exactly going to be in by the time he's in level 60, but I've just put some gear on him that is pretty likely to stick around on the champion. For a while at least. And this is just a very easy way to just sort of thin out your inventory a little bit of artifacts and of gear that you are definitely going to be keeping. Just getting it slammed on some champions and just getting it out of the way makes it a little bit easier to then figure out what you are looking to sell in your artifact storage. Now, rule number 3, this is where things start to get serious. This is where you've got to go through your gear one piece at a time and really decide if it makes sense for you on your account. You guys actually can't see this right now, but this has got like a double red speed roll on this weapon. So what do I mean by does it make sense in your account? I mean, do the stats on the gear that you are looking at on your account make sense for that gear set? Okay, there's a lot of pieces that you can just sell right away if they don't make sense, right? Now, a speed set piece of gear Well, it gives plus 12% speed as a 2-set bonus for your speed items, and so you're probably looking for speed rolls on your speed gear. I know, right? Revelation. It becomes a little bit obvious with some other sets, but on crit damage, you're probably looking for crit rate and crit damage percentage on this kind of gear, because, well, it's probably going to end up on your nukers, and nukers almost always need to be hitting 100% crit rate and then as much crit damage as possible, generally speaking, for their builds. It becomes a little bit less obvious with sets like cursed sets, right? A chance to place a hex debuff for 2 turns, and it takes a bit more experience with raid to know what kind of champion you want to use in a cursed set. It's generally Hydra provokers and Hydra debuffers and Hydra support champions that bring attack all enemies type skills and a lot of debuffs to the table. And so, generally speaking, on cursed gear, it's going to go on support type champions that generally require accuracy, right? So you're generally looking for speed and accuracy as your main stats on cursed gear. So for example, this piece of cursed gear right here, it rolled into some percentage stats, which are always better than flat stats as a general rule in raid as well, but it doesn't bring any speed, it doesn't bring any accuracy. It's kind of a piece of garbage. I could go ahead and consider selling this. Now, it did double roll into a percentage stat, and so just for the sake of an example, something you can do is if you've got a good piece of gear from like a gear set that you want to keep like this, you can consider throwing a Chaos Ore into this gear if it double or triple rolls, or even quadruple rolls into a stat that's not super ideal, and you can try your luck at rolling a piece of gear to see if it's going to roll into something that you're looking for. So I could hypothetically throw a Chaos Ore into this shield. However, another micro exception to this rule when you're upgrading your gear and you're looking for those good stat rolls is you've got to consider if the Chaos Ore is actually worth spending on that piece of gear. If it's a farmable gear set that's very, very easy to grab, something like cursed gear or even like perception gear and stuff, it's very, very easy to get your hands on. It's super, super accessible. I would think twice about spending Chaos Ores on those gear pieces. You're more looking to spend Chaos Ores on sets that are more premium, right? That are just tougher to get your hands on. It might be stuff like Chronophage or Pinpoint. You know, you can only grab this from the event dungeon. The event dungeon closes for a long time at a time, and so it can be quite tough to get your hands on some of this gear. Certainly gear from like Forge Pass sets. Slayer gear, for example. You know, a great damage dealer set, very, very difficult to get your hands on this. And so that's the kind of gear, Righteous set and stuff like that. This is the kind of gear that you want to be more willing to spend your Chaos Ores on, looking for good stat rolls, because it's not so easy to just farm more of it. You know what I'm saying? Now, generally speaking, as you're looking for these good stat rolls, and you're looking to sort of look for specialized pieces of gear that really make sense for the gear set that they're in. So, for example, Cruel, it gives attack percentage and ignore enemy defense. You're probably looking for crit rate, crit damage, and attack percent on your Cruel gear, right? And so as you're looking for these, oh god, this is a really, really crappy piece of Cruel gear as well. You know, I'm just gonna automatically sell this, man. This is oh god, I closed everything. But yeah, let's just get that weapon out of here, man. Now, generally speaking, when it comes to rolling up your gear pieces, you want to roll up like 4 ranks at a time, and this is kind of rule 4. You're just hunting for good stats, and you genuinely want to be upgrading your gear like this, looking for these good stat rolls, either during CVC or a gear enhancement event. Ideally both, you know, ideally there's a gear enhancement event live at the same time as a CVC is live, but certainly during a gear enhancement event, this is when you want to be looking for these saucy stat rolls, and I'm really, really liking the look of this weapon so far. We've dodged the flat attack the entire time, which is great. Crit rate, speed, good stuff. This is a helmet that we can actually look to keep. If these stat rolls had gone botched, it would have just been an auto sell right away. And so this is where you're getting into the nitty gritty of a gear cleanse, and you're really going fishing for those good stat rolls. It can be kind of boring and laborious, not gonna lie, but at the same time, it's omega hype, dude, when you roll into stuff like this, for example, that we got on the Lydia with like a triple speed roll on the shield. It's like winning the lottery when you finally hit a banner that looks like this, you know? So it could be an exciting time in the account as well, man. Good old quad speed roll on an accuracy banner. Oh my god. And those for me are like the 4 basic rules of a gear cleanse then. Getting rid of the trash, right? Getting rid of the obvious trash, then getting rid of the stuff that just doesn't make sense for the set that it's in, and then getting to upgrading gear and using Chaos Ores and stuff like that, and really looking to refine a piece of gear. Now for the exceptions to the rule, right? The 4 exceptions to the rule. Exception number 1. When it comes to your accessories in particular, right? And when it comes to 9-piece sets, stuff like Pinpoint, stuff like Protection, good old, I guess like Stonecleaver, Feral, all of these pieces that are all 9-piece sets, okay, not Reaction or Blood Shield, but all of these 9-piece sets, dude, when it comes to accessories for these sets, save everything by default, okay? Until you absolutely have to start selling these to make room. And the reason for that is, not only are these 9-piece sets generally quite tough to get your hands on, like getting a good collection of like Feral banners, for example, can take a hell of a bloody long time, and accessories, unlike artifacts, are limited based on faction, right? You have Dark Elves specific accessories, Sylvan Watchers specific accessories, so on and so forth. It makes it extremely difficult to get a good collection of, again, for example, Feral accessories for that one specific faction, okay? If I go through like the High Elves as well, then I check out my Feral, I've got like nothing lying around. It takes a long time to get a good amount of accessories for a 9-piece set saved up for every faction. And so you want to be extremely careful with what you are selling when it comes to these 9-piece accessories, right? Why? Because just getting the 9-piece set bonus equipped on one of your champions could be an absolute bloody game changer, even if the accessories themselves are not that good, okay? An example on my account would actually be on Glycad over here, right? Glycad, he's in a 9-piece protection set, right? It's a sweaty good set bonus. I mean, it's dripping, right? Sweaty as hell. 75% chance to place a protected buff. Allies deal 5% more damage per each buff placed by the wearer. Dude, Glycad brings all kinds of unique buffs to the table. Perfect Veil, increased attack, increased accuracy, increased defense. If he has 100% uptime or close to 100% uptime on all of these buffs, right, all 4 of these buffs, because of the protection set, that's an extra 20% total damage, just like a flat 20% total damage buff across my entire team just from Glycad existing on the squad in this protection gear. And you'll notice that he's in a not very good amulet. It's a 5-star quality protection amulet, man. Not that great in terms of stats. I don't give a damn. This could have been an attack amulet that like triple rolled into, I don't know, crit damage or something, and I would have slammed it on him anyway, just to secure the 9-piece protection set bonus, right? The stats barely even matter on accessories, okay? Like, eventually, okay, once you start to get more 9-piece accessories saved up on your account, you can start to sell off some of, like, the worst quality pieces, some of the 5-star pieces and stuff like that. Fair enough, right? Fair enough. Eventually, like, things will change and you'll hopefully start to upgrade things, but when you're just getting started collecting your 9-piece accessories for the first time, keep everything, because the 9-piece set bonus is way more important than having good stats on like an amulet or a ring. So that right there is an exception to the rule. Next exception to the rule is going to be holding on to attack amulets. Now this is something I got very lucky with indeed, right? Where is he actually? There he is, man. Good old Nishak. As a general rule, attack amulets suck, right? The general, like 99% of the time, attack amulets are just bad. They're just not good, right? Most attack-based champions would prefer to have a crit damage amulet as their amulet of choice, right? Except for when you eventually pull your way into a bomb champion, okay? Like Nishak, attacks all enemies, has a 100% chance of placing 2 bomb debuffs on each target for 2 turns, then grants himself an extra turn, okay? Your bomb-based champs. There are not many of them, right? Nishak, Fear Gun, I believe there's also a mythic champion as well. And when it comes to your bomb-based champions, you want to read the debuff description itself on bomb champions. When bomb debuffs expires, the affected champion suffers direct damage that ignores defense. The damage inflicted by the bomb scales per the stat indicated in the skill's description. That's just a roundabout way of saying that just check the way that damage scales from your bomb champions, right? Fear Gun, she places bombs, damage is based on attack for those bombs, right? Bomb debuff damage does not benefit from crit rate, does not benefit from crit damage, it scales purely based on attack in this case, and it's the same for Nishak as well. For the likes of the mythical champion Commodus, of the Demonspawn faction, he places a couple of bombs as well. His bomb damage is actually based on HP, so, you know, he's like an exception to the exception. He actually doesn't need an attack amulet at all. But Nishak Verminlord, you best believe believe that he requires an attack-based amulet to get the most out of this champion, and he also is even going to be in attack percentage gloves, right? Bomb champions are a unique breed of champion, and so the exception to this gear cleanse rule is going to be just make sure you're holding on to at least one good attack amulet. Ideally that's rolled into a bit of accuracy because you're planning on using it on bomb champions at the end of the day, right? A good attack based amulet, one per faction at least. The rest of them you can sell, right? There are not that many bomb champions in the game, to be honest, that are actually good and are actually worth building. I mean, you can probably count them on one hand. There are that few, you know? But just in case a good bomb champion comes out in the future for a faction that, you know, currently doesn't have a good bomb champion, like High Elves or whatever, just keep one good attack amulet for every single faction. Almost all of the others can be sold, right? Just one will do. And same thing as well for attack percentage gloves for these champions also. You'll notice that these gloves on my Nishak are not that great. I'd rather that these gave like more speed rolls, maybe a bit of accuracy would have been nice as well, but these are like the only attack percentage gauntlets I could put on Nishak because 99% of the time, I just automatically sell attack percentage gauntlets, right? For sets like Perception, and for sets like Feral, and for sets like Cruel, because Cruel set also gives attack percentage, of course, it's like its set bonus. Keep just one good pair of attack percentage gauntlets just in case you pull into a bomb champion like Nishak that you actually want to build in future. It's just another mini exception to the rule. Usually you'll be holding on to crit damage or even like crit rate gauntlets for your Nuka sets, but yeah, bomb champion's an exception. And to be fair, I actually covered amulets and gloves there sort of in the same point when it comes to exceptions, so we're just going to skip on to exception number 4 because that was a 2-in-1, you know what I'm saying? The next exception to the rule is going to be, dude, I tell you what, man, there's nothing worse in the early game of your account than pulling a resistance banner. Resistance banners in the early game are bloody worthless. They're terrible. For the longest time, I just thought like, wow, am I just going to be selling resistance banners forever? Like, is there ever a champion that actually wants to be built with resistance? Now that I'm like a year or two into the game, obviously I understand the value of resistance now, but in the early game it's easy to fall into this idea that you just sell all of your resistance banners because who the hell wants to build a resistance build champion anyway, you know? Yeah, you'll learn in time just how good resistance can be. That said, it is like still rather a niche stat. So my advice, my exception to the rule for resistance banners is going to be just hold on to at least 2 or 3 decent resistance banners for every faction. What does a decent resistance banner look like? Speed rolls. Pretty much. It pretty much just comes down to speed rolls. You know, if you get a resistance banner with a double speed roll, lock it in, hold on to it. You never know when you're going to want to make a resistance build champion in future. It might be a mischief tank into Hydra. It might be one of your live arena champions that you're building out in like a stone skin set, and you want that champion to just be an absolute live lord and never have its buffs stolen or its ability cooldowns increased and stuff like that, right? You want them to be like a 700 resistance, you know, undebuffable, unbuff strippable demigod. Quite niche, but very, very crucial. I'd say that once you've got like 2 or 3 resistance banners built out for a faction, and like they're rank 12 or rank 16, and they've got like good speed rolls and stuff like that, you can stop there. You can stop there, you know. 2 or 3 per faction is fine. That's 99% of the time going to cover any of the resistance build needs that you will have for that specific faction. I'd say that after you've got like 3 good resistance banners, certainly 4, you can start selling them all after that, you know, and that becomes like an exception to the exception once again. But yeah, even if you're not using resistance banners right now, hold on to 2 or 3 for every single faction. Now, a final more advanced note as well that I'm going to make for when it comes to upgrading your artifacts is that, look, some sets in this game, it's very, very obvious what stats you're looking for. On a Defiant set, for example, it gives defense percent and reduced damage taken from enemy AoE attacks. This is probably going to be the kind of set that you put on champions like Ally Protectors, potentially Reviver champions that you just want to massively bolster their survival. And so the kind of stats you're looking for in Defiant are probably going to be things like defense percentage, with speed and accuracy still probably being pretty good for most Defiant set, whereas probably something like speed, defense percent, then maybe accuracy and HP percent are fine stats to be looking for on this. Perception, it's pretty obvious what to look for as well. Speed and accuracy, it kind of does what it says on the tin. But what about sets that are a little bit more ambiguous, right? A little bit more vague. The set I love to use, as an example for this is always the Relentless set, if I can just find it real quick. There it is. Relentless set gives you an 18% chance to get an extra turn. What the hell does that mean? What kind of stats are you actually looking for on Relentless gear? You know, it can work on damage dealers. Hypothetically, it can work on support champions sometimes, right? I actually have like a huge mix of champions on my account that are built out in Relentless gear. One of these champions is Scylla the Drakes. Why do I have Scylla the Drakes built out in Relentless gear? Because it can get her a double turn effect, which then double triggers their passive, healing all allies by 10% of their max HP. We've also got good old Donatello in a Relentless set as well, because why? An extra turn not only gives him more ability to spam out his A3 for continuous heals and turn meter boost for our team, but it also gives him more opportunities to use his A2, which is a cooldown decrease for all ally skills. A very valuable A2 skill that if we can just get him an extra turn every now and again, he's going to get around again to using this skill faster. And so on the likes of a Donatello's Relentless gear, what we're looking for is as much speed as possible. Okay, so we've got like a triple speed roll piece of Relentless gear right here that we have him in on the helmet. He's got a double speed roll on the helmet as well, and so we're just looking for Relentless pieces that have rolled into a lot of speed to slam on the Donatello. However, kind of opposite to this, we also have our newly level 60'd Whisper also in Relentless gear. Why? She's the kind of champion that benefits a hell of a lot from getting a crazy amount of extra turns, because she gets a lot of extra turns from her skills, right? From her passive as well. Has a 10% chance of getting an extra turn whenever she lands a crit, and so just getting her more turns means more activations of this passive, which means more activations of this passive, which means more damage, and it all just kind of snowballs out of control, you know? And so Whisper does very well in a Relentless set. Also, HP burners and HP burn activators can also do very well in a Relentless set too, right? Champions like Supreme Gallic. And so in the likes of a Whisper's Relentless gear, she's got a lot of crit rate, she's got a lot of crit damage, a lot of attack percentage and stuff like that, right? And so when it comes to a set like Relentless that you can use on a lot of different champion types inside a raid, what you're actually looking for is to specialize the gear as much as possible when you are upgrading that piece of gear. So let's take this, okay, this is actually a bad example. Like, this is obviously just a piece of Relentless gear that would be very good on a Nuka, and so I'd just be looking for crit rate, crit damage, maybe some attack percent. Oh my god, it double rolls into crits. Let's actually take it up at 12. Ooh, okay, it goes into the flat attack, which is a bit of a disaster, but it's still a very good piece already. Now, a piece of Relentless gear that looks like this, for example, it's a whole different ball game, right? Especially if you've got like a mix of like speed and accuracy and then a bit of crit rate or something. What you're then looking to do with a piece of gear like this is try to roll it up so that it specializes into one specific stat, right? This shield, it would be great if it rolled into a mix of speed and resistance. Then it could go on a champion that actually wants high resist and high speeds, like a Mischief tank or something like that. It would also be fine if it went maybe like 3 or 4 speed rolls, just in general. That would be great for just a general support item. It would also be fine if it went speed and accuracy. The worst thing that could happen is we get 1 stat roll in every single stat. That would suck. That would suck. That would suck because then what we've got is a very general piece of gear that's really not specialized for any specific champion type, and my god, we're actually hit on resistance and accuracy, which is already not a great stat combo. If we take it up to 12, we're kind of hoping for like a double resistance roll now. It goes into a double accuracy roll, and so I'm already wondering a little bit, what the hell champion am I even going to use this gear piece on? Like, it's a fine fit for a support champion that requires accuracy, but it didn't hit any of the speed rolls, so that's not great. It's an okay fit as well for like a resistance tank, because it hit resistance 1 time, but then the double accuracy roll is not super exciting. Just missing all of the speed rolls makes it not really a great item for any kind of support champion type, and so I'm already at a little bit of an impasse with this piece of gear, and it could already be a candidate, honestly, for throwing a Chaos Ore onto. Now, another thing that's always worth doing as well is if you've got a piece of gear from like a Relentless set or a Forge Pass set, and it's of mythical quality, you generally just want to upgrade it anyway to see where the stat rolls go, because even if the red stat sucks, oh my god, dude, that's really bad. That's really bad. What I was about to say is, even if you roll into the red stat and the red stats are really bad, if you can like triple roll into the red stat and then rework that piece of gear, oh my god. then you could roll into something absolutely extraordinarily good, and so it's always worth just trying it out, even if the stats kind of suck on a mythical piece of gear. Just see if you can like double or triple roll anything, and then go ahead and spend a chaos ore. I'm just gonna go ahead and just do this just for the sake of doing it. Oh god, speed? Oh god, well it's still not very good, is it? Anyways, man, at the risk of rambling, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Hopefully this helped you out, man, with refining your artifact collection a little bit, man. And, yeah, making gear cleanses a little bit less daunting, and overall just rising the tide level of your artifact gear quality on your account over time. Thanks for stopping by, man. If you're looking to create a new Raid Shadow Legends account, man, then create that new account right now by using the beginner promo link that is down below this video at the top of the description box. Just click on that link on laptop or PC and use that link to create a new Raid account for all of the free stuff that you see on screen right now. And I'm going to catch all of you all just a tad bit later, man.